guys, welcome to or welcome back to our channel. Hey guys, my name is Amanda. My friend Jen and I run this channel together. We are good friends. We love books. We love talking about books, discussing books, liking, loving, hating books, buying books. You got it all about books here. So we wanted to put together this channel and kind of express our feelings and thoughts and emotions around books. Today I'm going to be talking about an arc I received called The Edge of Sleep. This arc has 3 authors, Jake Emanuel, Willie Block, and Jason Gurley. This is debut novels for Jake Emanuel and Willie Block. This is not a debut novel for Jason Gurley. He has other books out that have been published. So if you are interested in this book, you read this book, you like this book, maybe go check out some of his other works. And first, I want to say thank you so much to the publishers, Macmillan Publishers, and the authors for gifting me this arc. I appreciate and love all my arcs. I try to review all of them on the channel. In fact, these are my remaining arcs that I have in order that I am going to be reviewing. Let me see if I can show them to you guys. I have them listed in order of publication. So like the most urgent one to read, top all the way down. I am so excited about these 2 books coming out in July, Ebony Gate and Boys in the Valley. I don't know if you can see that. I can't wait to read those books. I hope to get to them in the month of July and post my reviews. If you're all interested in those, then keep checking back at the channel. Maybe subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll know when my reviews go up for those. So now, the real reason why you all clicked on this channel, what did I think of this book? First, I'm going to talk about the cover. I always like to talk about the cover because I think cover design is important. It definitely makes a difference in catching people's attention and drumming up interest in the book. So this cover, I don't love. I don't think this would grab my attention or my interest if I just saw this cover in the bookstore amongst all the other books. The premise of the story would definitely grab my attention, but this cover, not so much. However, this cover does depict very important parts of the story that you don't understand until you read the book. So you have a black background, you have a whale you can see here in the back, which is important in the book. You have these little pyramids like right here, and though the pyramid becomes important towards the end of the book. And then you have, this is Dave, this is our main character with a triangle carved out of his chest. So it's interesting cover. It does have significance once you read the story. So what is this book about? In this book, you're following the main character. Well, there's several main characters, but the main character is Dave. So in the beginning, you're following the main character, Dave, and it's a little bit confusing because you start right off the bat in a dream. And you're kind of like right from the get-go. I don't know about you guys, but when I read, it takes me a chapter or 2 to really grasp the book and understand what's going on. Well, it depends on how long the chapters are, but it takes 5 or 6 pages, let's say, for me to really get into the book and start really visualizing the story, the setting, and what's going on. So when I'm thrown right into a dream in the book, it's a little bit unsettling, but you get it figured out pretty quickly. And so you start out in one of Dave's dreams. And then once he wakes up from this dream, you find him working as a guard on the night shift. And he's working with another guard named Mateo, which is another main character in the story. The characters in this story, although Dave and Mateo are older, Mateo has served in the military, he has experienced some bad things through that service, and Dave is obviously an adult and he has like all these weird dreams, like you find out because in the beginning of the book you are actually in one of his dreams. And they are adults, but I think they're maybe in their 20s, let's say, like maybe mid-20s. So the characters seem a little immature. So Mateo is like, hey Dave, let's go to this party, it's supposed to be banging. And Dave's like, no, I'm tired, I want to go home and sleep. And Mateo's like, oh, come on, man, it'll be so cool. So reluctantly, when they get off their shift, Dave and Mateo drive out to this party, and the party's dead. I mean, it is 4 in the morning, but they're fully expecting the party to be in full swing. And they go in the front door, and they actually find a dead person in the living room. Can you guys hear the rain? It is raining outside. Oh my gosh, it sounds and smells so good. So Dave and Mateo find a dead body. They start freaking out. Dave starts calling 911. 911 is busy. Dave's like, that's really weird. Let me run upstairs and see if I can find the host of this party, the owner of the house. So he runs upstairs. He finds the owner of the house. He finds out they're dead. So the owner and his girlfriend are just laying in their bed and they're dead. No calls are going through. Nothing gets answered. So he's like, damn, Mateo, we're gonna have to like load these bodies up in your car and drive them to the hospital. Mateo's like, hell no, bro, we're not putting dead bodies in my Camaro. Dave wins out, and they do load up the bodies. They wrap them in some curtains or something. They load them up, they get them in the Camaro, and they're driving out to the hospital. There's no body at this hospital. They pull up, they honking their horn, they're yelling and screaming. Nobody's rushing out to save them. So they go inside the ER, and it's deserted. So they start roaming this hospital. They find an impromptu morgue. So they're like, ooh, creepy. This is getting creepy. But then they find 2 nurses. One of them's name is Linda. Linda is another main character in the story. Linda comes out and looks at the bodies. She's like, yeah, these guys are dead. So they start putting these pieces together and understanding that people are dying in their sleep. That's the main gist of the story. Now, you do have some sub-characters that you follow that have their own story that they tell, and I thought their story was beautiful. Throughout the story you read about, they kindle like this beautiful friendship, and they kind of stick together to the end. The main characters of the story, Linda, Dave, Mateo, and then Dave's ex-girlfriend, what's her name? Katie. Dave's ex-girlfriend, Katie, are the 4 main characters that you follow all the way to the end. They try to figure out what's going on. They have this great adventure trying to cross the world to get to this place that they think is going to save them. The pacing in this novel is great. It is a little confusing, and you do kind of, in the beginning, you're following all of these little, there's like 1 to 2 page little short stories of all these other people in the book and their demise, I guess, how they fall asleep. You don't really talk about them dying, but you follow them up until their last moments when they fall asleep on this terrible night when if you go to sleep you die. And for me personally, I don't really love jumping back and forth between points of views of characters when you're only reading little tiny segments, because it takes me a second to wrap my head around the other person's point of view. And when you're jumping quickly, like one page you're talking about this one character, and then another page you're jumping to another character, another page you're jumping to another character, it's kind of unsettling to get settled into their mindset and their story. So for me, it gets a little confusing jumping character to character. I know that's just a personal thing. I know most people love different points of views, and I love different points of views when the chapters are a little longer and you get settled in and you can keep going with that story. That being said, once you get more into the book, you're kind of just switching back and forth between the main character's plot and then the 2 sub-characters' story. You're kind of just jumping back and forth between them, and you're trying to figure out what's going on by putting their 2 stories together and get it figured out yourself. The other thing in this book that I didn't really like is halfway through the book, I thought to myself, this is going a certain direction. I hope not, because I don't like it. It never did. And I got to the end of the book and something was like, there's an epilogue. Don't read it. Don't read the epilogue. Something told me not to read it, but I have to because I'm completionist and I have to finish the whole book. I'm not one of those people that can skip the epilogue. So I read it, and I wish I hadn't read it because the epilogue goes there where I didn't want it to go. If you're not a completionist, you don't feel like you have to read the entire book, skip the epilogue. You don't need it. You don't need the epilogue. It went there. It went where I didn't want it to go. And I know now that I've said that, you're going to want to read the epilogue because curiosity, and it gets me every time too. I can't help it, but just don't read the epilogue. I enjoyed this book. I think if you like horror, psychological horror, it's not really a gory horror. If you like psychological horror, if you like some Stephen King books, maybe like The Dreamcatcher, or if you like, I think he has a book called Sleeping Beauties, which is similar, where people go to sleep and can't wake up or something, or like all the females fall asleep. I can't remember, but there's other books out there where people fall asleep and don't get up. If you like those books, this would be a good one for you. If you like horror and urban fantasy, go get your copy of this book. And if you're just curious about it, because I was very curious about this book after I read the description. So if this review has made you curious, please go out, read the book, and let me know what you think.